Good afternoon. Welcome to the Meltdown. Folks, I really appreciate you listening in. We're going to get next week, I believe. We're doing Michael's back in the office, so we're going to get Thursday and Friday shows up. Also, one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is being able to give you a morning report and an afternoon report. Now, that will be predicated pretty much on what's going on during the day, but it's those events that really tend to matter. Methodically, gold dealers and rare coin dealers get to a place at this time in the year when they start to realize that the holidays are upon us, things are going to pull back in our business, we almost get lackadaisical and flat-footed. That's the time where you really want to be able to take advantage of the market. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I'm a chartist. That's not how I play the game. What I look at are the trends. I want to know what different clients, different companies are out there proposing so that you can take advantage of where the dips are going to be and then be able to take advantage of the movement in market. Now, under no circumstances am I going to tell you that I know the direction of the marketplace. But what I do know is that as the world continues to print paper at a record pace, quantitative easing is absolutely a disaster waiting to happen. Now, I know most of you that have listened in know many times that I've talked about Tim Geithner before leaving office and saying that he and Ben Bernanke have a plan, and the plan, quote, is a 10 to 20 year recovery in the economy. You're going to look at the stock market and at the Dow Jones Industrial Average and realize that those 30 shares, which change now more every couple of years than they ever changed in the 50 years before, ultimately have changed the direction of the market. $1,000 a share for Google, when it was hit, was the first time that a, quote, stock other than, say, Berkshire Hathaway really made the impact in the marketplace, particularly the internet market. So here we are at 15,634 as we speak, and I can tell you in the 4 minutes between prepping and coming into the office to get on air with y'all, I watched the minus signs in the metals and the plus signs in the Dow change. And I'm talking about very, very lax markets. Pretty much like nothing was happening in the metals pits, and all of a sudden silver gives up about 20 cents. Well, that's almost 1% of the market. Silver is a roaring buy. And gold, while it doesn't seem like it's really moving along all that well, we started 2012 around $1,700. So here we are almost 2 years later, and we're trading down around $1,315. It's interesting because for all of 2012, the U.S. Mint produced 753,000 1-ounce gold American Eagles. So far this year, 755,000. And of course, we've got the better side of 50 trading days or 40 trading days to go, and the U.S. Mint will continue to be producing right up through the first part of December when they start shutting it down and retooling. Now, because of demand, this calendar year, we saw the suspension of the U.S. Mint producing 10th-ounce gold American Eagles. A few years ago, the U.S. Mint stopped making commemorative coins. And so the Mint is under an extreme amount of pressure from the standpoint of finding the gold, getting the decent planchets so they can strike on the blanks, and then producing a product that, quote, the consumers want to own. It's important to understand that more companies are getting online to recommend individual retirement accounts. It's an area of the market that you can move money into precious metals without literally having to do very much stuff to get to the marketplace. Now, what I mean by that, literally, is that companies will promote material that they can mark up to cover the different ways they go about advertising the marketing. So it's from that standpoint that you'll see companies that recommend proof gold American Eagles. Frankly, I don't like them. I love the coins if you can buy them reasonable to what other dealers sell to other dealers for. Keep the margins tight. But most of the companies that are out there producing these kinds of ads, whether it's a launch while you're searching another website, heck, I was looking at YouTube, and because I'm a coin dealer and I search gold, I get those plugins and they show up. And I got to see a couple of them over the weekend. And the production is good. It's the product that they recommend. And folks, if you're dealing with a company that's out of, say, any of the coasts, the Northeast, the Northwest, expensive real estate, you're going to pay more money than if you pick up the phone and call me. Now, you can call in the local market 281-548-2646. That's 281-548-2646. Hit option 0 and you'll get a live operator. One of the guys or gals in the office will jump on, and I'm more than happy to consult and talk to you. Ultimately, I'm not just going to hone in on the proof material, whether it's gold, silver, or platinum. I'm looking for the play. I'm looking where the market is going to be not just deeply discounted, but where there's margin to make money on the upside. Today, you can buy 60.5 ounces of silver for an ounce of gold. Now, that's if you're trading in the futures market. And in the futures market, you're going to buy 5,000 ounces of silver on margin, or you're going to buy 50 to 100 ounces of gold or platinum. Most players don't want to play in palladium. It's a really questionable transaction. Ultimately, there are so many different ways to put together these portfolios. Now, if you've listened to the show or followed me, you know that I like a third, a third, and a third. And I talk about it outside of your 401k or your IRA. Well, inside of your IRA, I like it as well. I mentioned 401ks. It's rare that you can use a 401k for the distribution of your own desire, because those are funds that are really owned by the company you work for. That's a separate argument, and I'll come back to. Michael, if you think of it, shout at me, and I'll try to remember that. Inside of your IRA, a third, and a third works every bit as much as it does outside. You can still own inexpensive gold or silver. You can own 90% junk bags. That's old dimes, quarters, and half dollars that date from 1964 back. You can use 40% half dollars. Those are 1965 to 1970. They actually contained 40% silver, and they trade on the market with the silver price. Now, inside of IRA, you can utilize gold, silver, and platinum. You can use 90% or 40% junk silver. Those are not going to be segregated places. In other words, when we ship the silver up, it's not segregated because it's just junk. It's the gold American Eagles and the platinum Eagles and the silver Eagles that may make a difference, because there's date rarity. A currently minted half-ounce gold American Eagle may be a coin that's butting up against the price of, say, $740 or so, versus a half-ounce gold American Eagle that dates 1991, that if you could get your hands on it might easily be over $3,000 today. There are rare coins in the gold eagle market, and I like to take advantage of those coins. If money wasn't the issue, and you called the store and you said, Brett, I want to get a position in half-ounce gold American Eagles, I'd be thrilled to provide it. And I can probably get my hands on a lot of them, unless you got into the program and understood that the coins minted from 1988 to 1991 are the 4 lowest mintages. And because of the low mintage and the heavy use in jewelry and gift giving, finding them in any quantity is difficult without reaching into my client base. Now, that's the difference, because in the marketplace, you're going to pay one price. In the client base, you may have to pay a little bit more. Ultimately, clients who have been buying half-ounce gold American Eagles from me, no matter what the condition of the market in the price of gold, have experienced profit. I can tell you that I've got clients that bought them all the way down at 300 and 350 a coin. And today, if I could find them between 2,700 and 3,000 with no problems, no copper spots, no bad rim dings, the items that are going to grade 65 plus quality, those coins are going to cost a premium. And my clients have exceeded their expectations and made money. Now, part of it was because I suggested it and it's a market I understand. The other side of it is that I can't tell you what the price of gold or silver is going to do on any given day. Those markets are all manipulated. And that's the condition of today's market. When you look at the stock market and you realize that there are traders, T-R-A-D-E-R-S versus T-O-R-S, those trading companies that are big money management firms are going to move into a company's stock and they're going to buy it or sell it, and they're going to make money, and they're going to either go long or short, and you're going to get whipsawed based on their decisions. Warren Buffett is probably one of the most prudent investors there are, and ultimately he said that if he lost 98% of his wealth, it wouldn't change his lifestyle. He's got that much wealth, over $80 billion. The point is that he is not a gold bug. He's got enough money invested in Wells Fargo and Bank of America. His interest is in paper. And whether it's Heinz ketchup, whether it's the paper market and trading in Wells Fargo, because of his prowess and because of his recommendations and his long standing of being in the marketplace, his words matter. But the reality of our situation and our economy is because of the delay in the 16-day furlough. I heard James Bullard, he's the president of the St. Louis Fed this morning, say, we can't rely on all the numbers that we're going to see for the month of October. We just don't know. Well, the reality is that we've created ghost money. And the new currency, the new $100 bills are out. And folks, I've made this comment a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and I said very clearly, until the government recalls the currency, a date in time, if it's the $100 bill, since that seems to be the one that we push the most, if we're going to recall those hundreds and we're going to decide that our legal tender has no more value, you've got to change the script. They're going to keep counterfeiting it in any part of the world that they possibly can. And we're supposed to be worried about Russia. It makes our economy weak. It makes our dollar weaker. And frankly, I can tell you that in the 4 minutes that I mentioned coming down the hall to be able to set the show up and be able to start talking about it, I can tell you that the change in the dollar was so significant that all the currencies around the world were green and going up against the dollar. And in that, well, now we're at 17 minutes from when it happened. But in that short period of time, 2 of the currencies went red. In other words, the dollar's losing value, but the Canadian dollar and the Chinese currency have lost some of their value. The markets get manipulated. And the XAU that's been down finally went to the plus side. And while it's going up in the trading market, I'm looking at red arrows in the metals market, the precious ones, the physical market. And folks, don't be misled. The fact that there are dealers that are recommending coins or selling coins on a very, very tight margin doesn't mean it's necessarily the right place to put your money. Now, what I mean by that, I like Morgan and Peace dollars. I love building the sets. 96 coins, you can build the complete set. If you get into varieties, while you may pay a little bit more of a premium, the bottom line is that a third, and a third takes into account the least expensive premium, a moderate premium over the melt value, and then some real rarity. And the more you study, the more you learn, the more you get to a place where you understand that rarity matters, that that's the real play. And when I say the real play, I'm talking about when you've got discretionary money that you can put into savings, where you don't have to rely on having to sell it or pull it out and live off of it. That's the point in time where you want to get active, where you want to own different types of coins in different sizes and shapes. And the bottom line is that owning rare coins allows you to protect your wealth from the aberration and the volatility of the market. Now, I can tell you that there are a lot of analysts that believe that the gold and silver market have bottomed. And I'm going to tell you realistically, I don't know. It's part of the reason that I like the rarer coins, because frankly, it's from that standpoint that I can rest assured that when I tell you guys to buy something that's a little bit better date, or it's always been the key date in a series, there's not going to be a wild aberration in the value, because you see the price of a commodity, gold, silver, no real platinum coins. We didn't start making platinum coins in the United States until 1997. But whether gold or silver goes up isn't going to be the criteria that affects the value of the rare coin. And so you may not be comfortable spending $10,000 on a silver dollar or a $20 gold piece, but there are coins that are selling for millions of dollars. They don't care what the metals do. And so I can tell you that here's all these analysts that say gold is pretty much priced right at 1,300 or 1,310, and there may be a test at 1,280. At 1,180, when we hit the bottom, back a few months ago, I want to say that was July or August, when we hit the bottom, it was below the cost of production. So you can't stay there very long, because the producers won't produce. And all of a sudden you see shutdowns in mines and people out of work. The economy takes another hit. Silver. Silver is the sleeping dog. When it wakes up, it is going to have a bite, because when you talk about a debacle, a financial catastrophe, something along the lines of what we saw in Cyprus or in Egypt, you've got to have something tangible to barter with. Now, I know that this is going to hit really close to home, but ultimately, it's the same thing that happens when folks separate. A child gets used. When you're at a place where you need something, you will pull out anything you can to take advantage of the market. And so that's why I like silver. Not so much because I think you're going to have to buy bread with it, but the real problem would be if you've got to survive with it. If you had to get gasoline, over in Europe, petroleum, and ultimately to make your car move, it may be somebody who's out in the country that's got a big enough storage tank that they reserved and held and bought gasoline. And so that happens in Europe, and we don't ever talk about it here in the States. I remember when I was growing up in St. Louis and traveling, Missouri, Kansas, Illinois, you would see big gas tanks up in the air. People propped them up, and you would gas out of it. Well, gravity would fill the tank. But the same situation is something that they've been concerned about in Europe for more than a generation. That's only 20 years, so we're talking maybe 4 or 5 generations. The reality is that a wheelbarrow full of marks was necessary to buy a loaf of bread. We're approaching that again. And it's from my standpoint that I want to tell people, look, things change, and they change drastically. And as they change, you need to make the change. It's that change that allows me to say, buy inexpensive gold and silver, own some rare coins, own really rare coins. And I don't care if they're half-ounce gold to me, American Eagles, $20 gold pieces, or a rare silver dollar. Heck, I've got an 1803 copper penny coming back called large cents. It's over a $2,000 coin. There's all types of different coins. That's why I suggest the Red Book. And it's from that standpoint that when I'm telling people to build portfolios, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's something that you put away. You rely on it on a rainy day. And the rainy day could be anything from one of your kids having a problem to your own grandkids. Whatever the situation is, things change in our lives. And as they change, we've got to be able to adapt to them. Now, I read a bunch today, and there's reasons why the dollar is going to make gold go up. You don't see it on a day where the market's down $1, but you know what? It's not that wild aberration that everyone believes. I brought to you and talked about the drop in the Russians dropping gold on the market the first time in a year. That's because they finally realized that maybe they've got too much gold and they wanted to prop up the ruble? Probably not. What it really boils down to is that they needed to sell it for something else, and they're going to move the money around. Same way our government is. Our government makes decisions based on variables that they can't control. Well, they can, but when you've got two sides of the aisle that can't agree on compromise, you just have problems. So that's really the reality of today. And so when I look at GLD or SLV and realize that JP Morgan Chase is part of one of the custodians of those ETFs, I can tell you that the scrutiny that Jamie Dimon and his staff is under is extreme. And they get paid a lot of money, $2 million to $10 million. If you're a shareholder, you've loved the return the last few years. And ultimately, it's the decisions that get made with millions, hundreds of millions, potentially billions of dollars. And frankly, it's you and I that get whipsawed the most. And so I talk to people from all extremes, from the extreme that believes that the stock market will be 20,000 and it's going to get there soon, to the reality that it's going to lose value. And I'm going to tell you that there are a lot of people that I talk to, and I communicate through the internet. If you've got questions, you can email me, Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. That's Brett at thegoldexchange.net. You can go on to the website, themeltdown.com. I haven't asked Michael to give me the figures, but over 500 shows, 350 plus hours of audio. We take out commercials. Of course, now on podcast, I haven't started trying to sell commercial time. That might come around. Bottom line is that there are so many people that are out there working on what to do next and how to go about building a better box. Now, I said I'd come back to 401ks, and I didn't need Michael to tell me this trip. But ultimately, a 401k that you've been putting money into for, whatever amount of years you have, is not your money. Yeah, it gets labeled on an account, and you believe you've got access to it, but the reality is you don't. Certain times, you can have certain amount of access, but you can't have all of it unless you leave. And if you leave, you're going to pay taxes on it. So there's some special conditions, and I talk about a good customer, Sharon, who had $180,000 in her 401k, and they told her what she could do, and of course she told them at HR what they could do. I'm sure she got more pleasure out of telling them than listening to what they had to say, but the reality is you can't move the money. It's theirs, and they're going to set the rules, and whether they're matching it dollar for dollar or 50 cents doesn't really matter. They've got you investing your paycheck in their company, and you don't get access to the money. That's the problem. So for me, I talk about a lot of different things, and I talked about GLD, and I look at the balance sheets for where the gold is and where the silver is, and I can tell you straight up, dealers are out there cutting each other's throats for a little bit of money. A dealer made a quote of $79 over spot. Well, I was using a percentage, and for the $2, I told the client, do business with the other guy, and that's when he told me he was structuring a transaction. Under structuring, the dealer is the one that's at risk. $30,000 fine and possible jail time to structure a transaction that I'm making less than 1% on, I'm not interested. And folks, that's what this boils down to. If you've got somebody who you're happy doing business with and you want to call and just keep them in check, you can email me or call me anytime. Be more than happy to answer it. Now, like I said, the local phone number, that's 281-548-2646. You can reach out toll-free at 877-705-2646. Hit option 0, and that will get you to a live voice. You won't get trapped in the phone system. Ultimately, I stay busy. I don't mind building portfolios. I don't mind analyzing portfolios. I'll look at your coin collection if you're looking to liquidate it. You may have inherited it. You may have put it together. Whatever the expertise is that you need, we'll tailor it to assisting you. And ultimately, it's the assist that makes the difference. Now, I want to say thank you to a couple of ladies, Lisa and April. You guys are great people, and I appreciate your help, your input, for all that you provide. Cindy, thank you for helping out too. Kelly, all of the effort that you give me, I appreciate. And I certainly don't want to take my buddy Michael off the page and include him too. I get a lot of support around here and in my life and doing the right things. Folks, it's a time to be able to scrutinize what you've got and how you're going to move it around, how you're going to protect it, because it's not today that you should be worried about. The economy will get through the retail season, and let's face it, everybody's concerned in the jewelry business and the rare coin business what the next 60 days are going to be like as we get to the new calendar year. The truth of the matter is that it's those people that are taking advantage of the market in the downtime that will come out of it the strongest in the uptime. And the up, typically that's March and April for me. I've got friends that say November and December are bad. It stays pretty consistent around here. I love beautiful coins. I love buying material that trends properly. I want to be in the right market at the right time. But the truth is, when you get right down to it, owning the right looking coins matters down the road. And the premiums of 3 times to 10 times to more times happens more frequently when you've got better looking coins than just the average widget. And widgets, it doesn't matter what coin you compare it to. There are coins that just make the grade and coins that just miss the next grade. And then there are coins that have special toning, and the special toning really does matter. Dealer to dealer, it matters by 3 to 10-fold. It can matter more-fold when you go to auction. And because attractive coins are really in vogue, people pay big premiums for them. I loved looking at a company that was trying to get my business recently and told me about a coin that literally was a $15 coin that auctioned at $1,500. And that was because of the way the coin was identified and labeled. And just that one little factor alone took a $15 coin to $1,500. And when you look at coins from $150 that trade at $1,500, there's a reason. Now, if you're not experienced, you don't understand all that. And I get it. It takes somebody with experience and knowledge to be able to explain it to you. And that's what this is really about. I get people that come in from all over the area that will do business with me because I'm fair and equitable, and I'll show the sheets and we do business. And they're happy. They walk out with their material, and I'm happy because they're happy. It's pretty simple. Bottom line is that when you get right down to it, I want to make sense. I don't want to sell 1-ounce gold American Eagles that are all the same date because that constitutes hoarding. I'd rather own multiple dates of $20 gold pieces from different mints in different qualities, because you need to substantiate that what you're doing is collecting. Now, I've got some issues I need to take care of, so I'm going to cut today's show short. But in doing so, I'm going to always recommend and talk about Texas Children's Hospital, both the Downs Clinic and the Ronald McDonald House. My son Jason has mild Downs. Dr. Ostermeyer and her staff mean a lot to me, my family, and to the community. No longer at the Fannin location of Texas Children's Hospital. They've moved just a little bit south. But if you go to the meltdown.com and click on the donation link, you fill in your name, your address, your phone number, some other pertinent data. It's all anonymous for me. I do not want it. I do not get it, and they will not provide it to me. Ultimately, I would ask that you please support the Downs Clinic, also the Ronald McDonald House at Texas Children's. Now, when I was there back in 2011 after Jason was born, I stayed a lot of nights at the Ronald McDonald House. They put me up, and my wife at the time, a lot of time. And it's from that standpoint that they had 20 rooms, and anywhere from 40 to 100 people every night would be there for dinner. So if you can provide a hot meal, please call 832-824-8600. That's 832-824-8600. You can call if you've got a donation, a tithe, or an offering. I appreciate the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and of course the volunteer at Texas Children's, all throughout the medical center and throughout this country. Folks, I will be back tomorrow. We'll talk more about coins and precious metals. If you've got any questions, please feel free to email me, Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. Give me a call, 548-2646. Hit option 0. That way you won't get trapped in the phone system. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day and God bless you.